What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have with me, the smiling, the both eyebrows dancing, at the same time, synchronized choreographer, the blessed and slightly stressed queen herself. Please introduce yourself to the people.
What is up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd. And yes, blessed and stressed to be here on a Monday evening. It is.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, let's do a short. We do have a special guest for y'all. The theme for April, in case y'all didn't know, was financial literacy. Secure the bag, get that money. So get your pen and pad ready. If you're driving, keep driving. Please don't get anything ready. Just attend to, please. But we're going to get into that shortly. But Queen, can you talk to us briefly about your week? We'll do a full deep dive next week when it's just us. But briefly, how was your week?
My week was relatively chill last week, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Last week was relatively chill in comparison to other weeks. Of course, it's all in comparison. Still crazier than the average person's schedule, but in comparison to other weeks, it was relatively chill. Not too much going on. It was pretty productive. Still powering through this health coaching certification program, learning some cool stuff, getting to nerd out. So I'm enjoying that.
Nice. Is any highlight you want to talk about in your FDN program? And like anything cool you're like, I didn't know that.
Just that. So we've talked about cortisol before, which is a stress hormone. So learning how all of the different like organs and systems in your body connect is pretty cool. So like how your hypothalamus connects to your pituitary axis. I hope I'm still at the beginning of the stages, so if I'm saying any of this wrong, don't shoot me. And that like there's chemical signals that will say like, hey, we're in a stressful situation. It's time to release cortisol. And then there's like your body releases cortisol. It's just really cool to see how intelligent the body is. So your body releases cortisol, and then after it releases cortisol, it also releases DHEA. Don't ask what that stands for.
Good. I wasn't.
But it's something to basically balance the cortisol and basically like let the body know like everything's okay now. So it's very interesting when you're like running labs and you can tell a lot about the ratios that people have versus their stress levels. It tells a lot about a person. So that's very interesting.
Let's keep on learning, keep on sharing. I appreciate you. Usually you do a little deep dive at Devon, did you know? I was like, oh goodness, here we go. Here's the session. My week briefly, last week, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Last week I did a little experiment. I binge watched TV during the day. Yeah, and let me tell you, I didn't like how it made me feel, to be honest with you. I didn't like it. I thought I would like it because I was stressed last week. So I was like, you know what? Let's watch TV. That would be better. And I feel like it didn't help the stress at all. And I think because I watched Billions and, the star, maybe we can talk about our guest today, Billions, and if she likes it or not. But it's an interesting TV show about investing, stock market manipulation, but it's also a little bit stressful and high intensity too. So maybe that impacted it.
Like you're taking it on more.
Yeah, a little bit. Long story short, I didn't like how it made me feel. So this week I'm listening to like classical music and jazz and just regular stuff. Last week we also had Financial IQ. Maquiba Massey came on and talked about how to secure the bag and her personal kind of journey in personal finance and financial literacy. So that was really cool. IMI doing its thing. And last but not least, if you can't tell, we got these Masterpiece shirts on right now. Masterpiece edition is in production, in the works. It will be coming in June, July. Masterpiece edition of Black Wall Street, the board game. It is technically the third edition, but call it Masterpiece because it is. A masterpiece, y'all. It's fire. But the shirts are available on our website, playblackwallstreet.com. You can go ahead and get your shirts now, or wait a little bit and maybe we'll give a special deal with the shirts with the board game. But you were talking about stress, and I feel like people stress a lot about finances.
Like the number one stressor, number one cause of divorce.
So money matters, and I love the mission statement of what She Building Her, which is our guest today, talks about. And what they're trying to do is heal the relationship that women have with money. And I feel like, right, you don't talk about that before, like healing a relationship with money. I was like, that sounds dope.
I feel like people don't always realize that their relationship with money is unhealthy or broken
Right.
or whatever it is, which I'm sure we'll get into more of that. But
Yep. So shout out to Networks. I believe it was Josh and Caleb, Mrs. Lewis's mom, who connected us with She Building Her. First of all, she'd be connecting us with all types of people. I think she connected us with Whitney too.
Yeah.
But we're about to get into the episode. Listen, you can always tell it's going to be a good episode when the person hits the wall.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's going to be a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But, we did a short intro. Here we go.
Every time you say that, I hear another
A
level.
whole nother level. All right. But Star, we did a short introduction, but if you don't mind, can you please introduce yourself and the company you are repping?
Absolutely. Excited to be here. My name is Star Melancon. I'm the founder of She Building Her, and we are a financial consulting agency. And so we help women create like easy to implement plans to meet their financial goals. And so that includes like long-term stock market investing, budgeting, saving, retirement planning, that kind of stuff.
Love it. I really love your mission statement and what it's about. Can you explain a little bit, kind of what we were talking about before about the, what made you come up with the, the mission of healing the relationship with money? And then two-part question, what made you also want to do it specifically for women?
That's a great question. So the healing the relationship with money part came about because I didn't realize so many people didn't realize that they had a relationship with money, whether it was negative or positive. They completely disassociate themselves from their money. And it is counterproductive in the long run because people are trying so hard to separate themselves from their financial circumstances, right? Whether it be good or bad. You'll see people that are really wealthy and they even try to disassociate themselves from money. Like, yes, my money doesn't make me, or, it is always this like tug of war between a person and their money. And I'm like, I guess you don't know until you know, or you don't know until you whatever. I just didn't realize that people did not realize that they had a relationship with money. And my uncle taught me that when I was little, he used to come around and we would always ask him for money. And he would say, what do you need money for? And I'm talking like 7, 8 years old. What do you need money for? And I'm like, I want to go to the store or buy this or buy that. He was like, see, that's the problem. You don't have a relationship with your money. Your money's supposed to just sit there. You need to be comfortable with your money. You and your money need to be on one accord. He used to say these things. Like, of course, he's like 50. I'm like 7. So I'm like, like, am I gonna get the chips or not?
I just want a lollipop.
Yeah, but that's kind of where it started. And so I just grew up that way. And then when I fell into She Building Her, which I'm sure we'll kind of get into a little more, but when I fell into She Building Her and started helping women, I got the same theme. Like, just not acknowledging that your personality, that your core values and beliefs and your self-esteem and your self-worth, everything plays into how you treat your money and the relationship that and then in turn, how you treat your money depends on how your money is going to treat you, right? So that whole thing is just something I think that a lot of people are just like, it's just like they are not acknowledging. So that's how that happened. And then in terms of the women, it was just kind of like a natural thing. I think I was just drawn in that direction because that's how I started out, just helping like myself and then my family and then friends of family. And then it kind of grew into this movement. And I find that a lot of times women speak the same love language. And so it's easy for me to communicate and, for us to build that really deep connection, that trusting connection so that we can move forward. So it just flows a little bit better.
Love that.
Nice. And randomly, I see on your background you got that crisp blue $100 bill. Like, oh, there it is right there. Does that do anything for your vision, for just reminding yourself of your personal relationship with money? Like, what is the importance of having visual reminders in places?
Everything. And it actually brings me back to what you said at the beginning of this episode when you were talking about binge watching and it didn't make it didn't make you feel good because like everything you feed yourself, right? Whether it be through sound or vision or, everything affects you, right? And so for me, it's important to have the kind of energy around me that I want to perpetuate. And so I keep things like money, like I have a little thing of cash saved right there. It's my savings challenge, my $21 a week saving challenge. But I keep cash. I keep, my like different kind of like prosperity crystals. I keep just like physical manifestations of wealth and prosperity and abundance around me in different forms, because that's what I want to feed myself. And that's what I want to feed my tribe. That's what I want to exude when I go out into the world. And so that's just what I, kind of choose to keep around me.
Cool. You talked about prosperity crystals. I may ask a second question because that sounds dope to me, but I know the queen got a question, but hold on to prosperity crystals for me.
Yes, I do have a question. I'm trying to find it. But you left your 9-to-5 job to start your business. Tell me a little bit about first of all, what did you do? And like, what made you take that leap of faith and kind of how did you build that confidence to be able to do that?
That's a loaded question. So, which it actually made me really excited hearing you talking about the body. So my degree, I have a dual degree in biology and microbiology. So
wow.
my official title was a biopharmaceutical microbiologist. That's what I did in biotech or in the biopharmaceutical industry for a lot of years. I know it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, you should have saw my name tag. Like, my name is Star, but then this title is, 87 letters long. But so that's what I did in corporate America for a really long time. So it was twofold. On one hand, in corporate America, I don't know if either of you are active in corporate America, but they give you these aptitude tests to see what your learning style is, what your interests are, things like that. And for the years and years that I worked, it always came back with like numbers, budgeting, teaching, money. And I used to be like, this thing is broken. Like, clearly I'm a scientist. Like, I'm like knee deep in it right now. Like, this thing is broken. I don't know if I'm answering the wrong questions or what. So it, like, that's how for years and years, it always came back that way. So I just stopped paying attention to them after a while. But obviously that is where my true interests lie, but I just couldn't compute it because the science part of my brain just wasn't putting two and two together, right? Like, in my mind, I'm like, you went to school for it, you got the degree, you got the job, this is what it is. So I was never fulfilled in my role. They gave me all the bells and whistles. I made multiple six figures, every benefit that they could give me. They moved me around. They gave me training programs and you know, they let me, I mean, everything that they could do, they did to make me fulfilled, but I was never truly fulfilled in corporate America. And then, and this is going to take a little bit of a turn, and then I experienced a lot of loss. So I have 2 sons, and in between one of them is 9, one of them is 2, but in between there, I actually had 2 stillborn girls. And I was in corporate America at that time. And it took so much out of me. Like, I feel like between that and what was going on in terms of like Black Lives Matter and being in this very white environment, between those two, the combination of both of those, it gutted me. Every day it was horrible. Not because the people were horrible. I love my colleagues, but the experience was horrible. And after a while, you know, you just start thinking, like, it kind of scars a woman in a way, a psychological way, when you go through that kind of trauma, and you really start thinking for yourself. You know, life is short. What is it that'll make you happy? What is it that you actually want? What is, you know, and that kind of thing started perpetuating. And then eventually it was like, it was not even an option anymore. It built up to the point where I was on I was commuting one day and I wrote a whole plan out in the back of my planner, and I came home and showed my husband. I was like, babe, this is my escape plan. I am leaving, you know? And he was like, let's do it, you know, because he also knew where I was at, you know? And I just, like, once I got into She Building Her and I understood the money part, and I was seeing the huge gap between what Black women knew, or Black people knew in particular, and my colleagues, you know, that's where it really started at, just hearing them talk so openly about money and investing and all these things. And I'm like, well, dang, I've never been around these kind of conversations in my own family, let alone just at a lunch table with random people talking about these things. And so once I kind of got the momentum, and I went from doing everything wrong with my money to doing everything right with my money, and then teaching other people, and then my business grew, and I was like, this is not a side hustle. This is my calling. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what fulfills me. So I just wrote an exit strategy and I left. And I never looked back. And I tell my husband all the time, he's like, because I get up every day and I get dressed like I'm going to work, even though my office is at home. And
that's a lot of discipline right there. That's a lot of discipline.